September is 4 days old. Good morning to you. Welcome to Island Tea. It's 8:11.
Wow. 4 days old. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Pleasant morning to everybody. I trust that everyone had a wonderful weekend. It is Monday, the 4th of September. Oh gosh, yes, man. Everything is going. I am looking at some of the articles here on Loop News and also on WINNFM's page. I know that, for the most part, for most of the schools, school starts on Wednesday. I know that a lot of persons were preparing on the weekend to prepare for the opening of school. And a lot of persons were preparing, for the opening of school on the weekend. And so, I know that students must be quite anxious to return to school, having had a long summer holiday. I know, even teachers, I'm sure some of them are inspired. I saw some videos by the ministry, I think particularly the Ministry of Education, where principals of the various schools did statements welcoming persons back to school. I thought that was a good initiative. It gets the energy going. It get persons interested in coming back to school. For new students, I'm sure that they are even more excited. I remember my time when it was the first day of high school. I think the first day of high school is perhaps one of the most excited moments for students because that's when you feel like you have arrived to big schools, so to speak. And so I just want to wish everyone well for the upcoming year, the school year. I want to wish, even though most schools open on Wednesday, I want to say continue the preparations, continue doing what you can in order to prepare for that day for your return to school. I see that there has been some news as it relates to the region. It says Guyana is to help Cuba in developing a honey sector. That's interesting. So it says that the
Guyana?
It says that the Guyana government Friday said that 4 Cuban specialists will assist indigenous communities in developing and expanding honey production. So, according to the president of Guyana, Dr. Ali, he told the final day of the annual national conference that his administration has offered to train 150 people from the indigenous communities in the area of agriculture and food security. He said, and I quote, "We have just yesterday agreed to invest in 4 specialists from Cuba who will come to Guyana to work with you in the communities in building out the honey industry and expanding the industry. And we want to create a common brand of honey that is associated with Guyana's rainforest that can be marketed as a specialized product." Sounds interesting. Sounds kind of sweet as well.
Wait. Didn't you say Guyana is helping Cuba? Isn't that what you said?
No, I said Guyana to get. I don't know. Let me. Yeah. So I don't know if I said it incorrectly at the start. Maybe I don't know. I can't remember. But what I am to say is that Guyana to help Guyana to get Cuban help. So maybe I did say it incorrectly. Yes.
Okay,
So Guyana to get Cuban help in developing honey sector.
Oh, because I thought the Cubans knew everything, So when I heard that, really, the Cubans don't know how to make honey.
Yes, so perhaps it was my mistake, and for that I apologize. So let me just repeat it again. Guyana to get Cuban help in developing honey sector. So it seems like Guyana is getting the agricultural sector involved in honey production. Imagine getting honey from, places like Guyana. Should be quite interesting, should it not?
Yeah, I would think. Because honey is really expensive now. Extremely.
Also, if you look at St. Kitts and Nevis nurses trained in Cuba have license reinstated. And this is an article, August 29th. It says that nurses who had undergone training at universities in Cuba have had their license reinstated. It says that in 2013, several nurses who pursued training opportunities in Havana and gained general nursing certificates as well as associate degrees in nursing were not recognized by the St. Christopher and Nevis Nurses and Midwife Council upon returning to the Twin Island Federation. However, only those who completed the Bachelor of Science degrees in nursing were licensed with the St. Christopher and Nevis Nurses and Midwives Council in 2013, but their licenses were rescinded in 2015. But a special ceremony at JNF General Hospital on Tuesday, Prime Minister and Minister of Health, Dr. Terence Drew, formally recognized the 12 nurses' achievements and reinstatement status as licensed registered nurses. And he said, there is need to be some reparations, and I will see how much compensation we can give you for what you have suffered, said Prime Minister Drew. As a first-class graduate from an institute in Cuba. He goes on to say that the Nursing Council now has revisited your situation and have taken, in my estimation, the correct action. And today, what has been delayed for almost a decade, you are now being accepted fully as nurses in the industry. I have worked with you. I have seen how you work. In my estimation, there is no deficiency. You are as qualified as any other nurse to work. He goes on to say, I want to encourage you to continue to be professional, to be the professionals that you are. I want you to take to heart the new thrust that the Nursing Council has taken in terms of really bringing you fully into the profession. I know you follow the codes of the Nightingale who set the trail for what the nursing profession is about. I encourage you to stay close to the ethos of the basis from which the profession was formed. So he says, it is said that since assuming office in August 2022, Prime Minister Drew's government has launched numerous other endeavors aimed at enhancing the quality of life for nurses in the Federation, including ensuring that nurses were fairly compensated for their invaluable contributions during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, yeah, it seems like nurses, their license were reinstated, so they are now, I guess, fully licensed to operate within the profession. I know that, we are to have a phone call, I guess, from the volleyball. We
had some volleyball over the weekend.
Yeah. So the volleyball was held on the 2nd to the 3rd at the Marriott Beach Resort. The Marriott Beach, sorry. So the Marriott Beach, not Frigate Bay. And the participating islands were Bermuda, Dominica, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Vincent and Grenadines, St. Lucia, British Virgin Islands, and St. Kitts and Nevis. So it'll be interesting to get, a synopsis or overview of what occurred.
He said St. Kitts was second.
Oh, wow.
St. Lucia won.
Oh, wow. St. Kitts was second. That's good.
So
that's really good because this is, how many countries here?
So I asked him, I said, I hope, I said, as long as Antigua didn't beat us. He said, no. He said, Antigua lost both games. So, to St. Kitts.
Well, I mean, that's something good, based on our performance at CPL, at least with the beach volleyball, we are, in a much better position.
Yeah, he said the St. Lucians are pretty good.
Okay.
And he said one guy in particular is he's probably their linchpin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So definitely, it's something that we could continue to, shine some light on because, for the most part, I think leading up to the competition, there could have been a little bit more advertisement. I don't think I saw much about it, and it was a
much.
regional.
I saw zero.
Yes.
Zero.
So it'll be good to see, to hear from so a member from the organizing committee, so we could see what took place, so we could hear what took place, and to get some insight.
Yeah. So when
as
he
it
calls,
relates to that.
yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that now.
Mhm.
When they call,
I
they
know.
call.
But I
Yeah.
just put in, persons on note, so in case they want to listen in to that as well. We also have, at 9 o'clock, we're supposed to have also Sam Conda. And I think, just let me back check, we're supposed to have Sam Conda and also Miss Genevieve Mills from the Department of Labor to, at 9 o'clock. So
I think Geneva is male in that case. I could be wrong, but I think yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
the email said Miss, but no,
Yeah.
because I was like, who? I was
Yeah,
I
so
was
they-
lost. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it should be Mister. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was wondering who that was until when now you said that.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly who the two are now. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so we had the Caribbean Music Awards on the weekend, and I sent you guys a clip, right? Well,
Yes.
I thought it was funny how I don't know what the DJ was thinking because Masha Montana won a Lifetime Achievement Award, right?
Yeah.
And the DJ is playing Kes, and when Kes won, he's playing reggae. I mean, playing a Beanie Man song.
You
So,
think you might have just not have been familiar with the music?
Yeah, but how could you
I
have
know.
how could you have a Caribbean Music Awards and not be on point with stuff like that?
Yeah, very true.
Me?
Very
I
true.
would have murdered that.
I know. They're giving the wrong people the opportunities.
I mean,
aren't they?
how you in New York, you have all these great Caribbean DJs,
Yes.
and you find some guy who's just the opposite of on point.
I
know?
know.
And well, there's an article here where apparently they're criticized for not featuring more genres. So I guess they mean that. Let's see what it says here. There are calls for the organizers of the Caribbean Music Awards to include more music genres from the region in the event. Let's see. The event was too heavily skewed towards dancehall, reggae, and soca. And well, I'm thinking, so what? Some of those other people, they say Caribbean, and then all you see is merengue and salsa and stuff. But anyway, so I'll get back to the article. Compa was the only other genre recognized once with a best compa band category, and the other with a posthumous honor to the late Haitian singer Mika Ben. Compa is like it's the French Creole music from Haiti, and you can come from Dominica as well. Yeah, so the precursor to Zouk. So Jael Joseph, a Dominican who won enough votes to land her a spot as an interviewer for the show, lamented the fact that her country's bouillon music was not honored. I think bouillon music dominated Carnival. I saw Spice shaking her pampalam in St. Martin. That was to bouillon music, so I want to big up all of the bouillon artists who didn't make it this year, and I hope they are included next year. Wyclef assured that every year more genres would be included. Oh, so I think apparently Wyclef is one of the people that's involved. However, following the show, Chutney Soca artists from Trinidad and Tobago also criticized the event for leaving out Chutney Soca. Oh my God, here we go. Not to sound cocky, but for the last 14 years, Ravi B and I kept this genre alive in its weakest days. To see them celebrate without us hurts me, because choose your venue. It's the Chutney Soca fans that spend the most money on these shows, and y'all left us out, he wrote. Ravi B, another former Chutney Soca monarch, posted on Facebook, Dear Carib Music Awards, Chutney Soca music is also part of the Caribbean. So clearly they're gonna have a fight on their hands with all the music politics and stuff. This is it. Dexter Daps, for instance, gleefully acknowledged that his win in the Performer of the Year category was his very first award. Tony Ann Singh, a Jamaican beauty queen turned singer, gushed another award for winning Best Video with Popcorn. She urged others to follow their dreams. So, Machel Montano, who was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award, also looked pleased with the packed house before him that comprised several artists. I just want to say how important it is to stand here in front of a united Caribbean people. This is the best moment for me in many years, he said, while flanked by his wife Renee and his 4 children. Here's my take on this, though.
Tell me.
Soca gets no love from the mainstream. So what if you have a Caribbean Music Awards and it's mostly soca and dancehall and reggae? All the other stuff. You imagine you have a Latin Grammy, right? Which is basically Caribbean music, and then you have you still have Latin categories in the Grammy Awards, the Grammy Awards proper. So I mean, how many things they want? So you know. So yeah, so I think maybe they should call it but it's still Caribbean Awards, so Caribbean Music Awards.
But you thought about the placements.
They're fine. I just have a problem with the DJ. They need to come look for me or something.
I know.
Yeah.
You should, if they're on Twitter, you could do a little tweet.
It just boggles my mind. You're trying to tell me you couldn't find someone up in New York who's gonna bring it the way it's supposed to be brought, you know? We have a call coming in. Let's see what's going on.
Yes, caller, good morning.
Island T, you're on the air. Good morning, Island T. Hello. You say hello.
Hello. Good morning, caller.
Okay. I don't know what's going on there, but okay. Let's hope the person calls back. So
Yes.
yeah. So yeah.
So
It's 8:28.
yeah, we're supposed to have traffic talk at 8:30. So, I mean,
And the person is calling back. Let's try
okay.
again. Island T, go right ahead. Hello. This is very strange.
What's going on with the phone?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Hello. Hello. Yeah, that's very strange. Okay, let's try. Let's try another call. Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh man.
Good. Good morning.
No.
Okay.
I don't know what's going. You can
You
tell the
know,
person.
you know what came
Yeah.
to my mind though, because I'm here looking at an article on the Loop News that says plans for
Hello, caller.
oh.
Wait. Hello.
Hello, caller.
What is going on? Okay, I have a feeling that might be Al actually, but yeah. Well, go ahead. But for whatever reason, I'm
Yeah.
not hearing anything.
Wow.
You were saying?
Yeah. So plans for a memorial to Queen Elizabeth II to be revealed in 2026.
Plans for what?
A memorial
Mm-hmm.
to the Queen Elizabeth II.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they are going. So
Why do you think I care?
you know, I saw this and I was going to read as said.
A memorial to a criminal? Why?
So, an independent body would unveil plans for a permanent memorial to Britain's Queen Elizabeth II in 2026 to mark what would have been the late monarch's 100th birthday, the government said Sunday. So that's the government, the Great Britain.
Okay. Hello? Caller? Still nothing. I don't know what's going on with these phones. Yeah, so go ahead.
So the Cabinet Office said Robin Javrin, Queen Elizabeth's former private secretary, has been appointed as chairman of the Queen Elizabeth Memorial Committee to consider proposals for a fitting tribute to Britain's longest reigning monarch following her death in September 2022. And you know that Queen Elizabeth died in her Scottish castle estate at the age of 96 years old after 70 years on the throne. So there is going to be a memorial, and plans as it relates to that would be revealed.
And
Just something to there might be persons who appreciate that.
No.
Yeah.
Let them find it on their own. I wasn't going to talk about that. For what?
But what came to my mind when I saw that were the travel restrictions that the UK is proposing for persons who are coming into their country. You saw the little video, you shared it with us.
Yeah.
The video with the travel restrictions where persons would have to now, even if you normally travel to the UK without a visa, you'll have to fill out ETA, which is electronic documentation before travel, to give you permission, to come into England, but you still have to go through the normal regulations that you will have. So it doesn't give you the right to bypass immigration. You still have to go through that immigration process.
We should do the same thing to them.
I guess everyone is just protecting
Well,
his or her
we should
border.
start. We should start protecting. We shouldn't act like we need them more than they need us.
I don't think-
They should put through. They should have to run the same gauntlet when they come down here. I'm sorry.
But I think they're doing it for all persons traveling, not just saying it's a need.
No, but I said we should do it to them too.
But I think
you
we
know?
should. Maybe the better comment would be maybe we should try to put things in place that would protect our borders as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Generally
yeah.
speaking.
But that's what I'm saying. And give them a hard time just give them an unreasonably hard time.
Well, when you said then, it seemed that you're referring to a specific group of persons.
I certainly am.
Which is what I'm saying. It should be, if we're going to increase our border control, increase security, it should be across the board.
It should be across the board, but you have to give a certain set of criminals a certain, because you have to give them. You have to be a little more brolic with them, yeah.
So I think regulations should be across the board, because I know not of the criminals you speak of.
Okay. Hello. Hello,
Yes.
call. I don't know what's going on with these phones.
I don't
People
know.
are calling.
I've
and
had problems with the phones for the weekend as well. So maybe it's
Yeah,
not something
okay.
that's really specific to the radio station. Maybe it's something that's
some
happening.
problem.
I don't
okay,
even know.
because I don't know what's going on there.
It's really something.
Yeah. So let's try. Okay, let's try this again. Island, you're on the air. Hello. Wow, man, this is not fun. So yeah. So maybe it's a good thing there's no voices today, because we wouldn't be able to take any calls. Anyway.
Wow. I don't know if you want to take a short break and we could get back.
Oh yeah, I guess we can.
Yeah.
We can probably go ahead and play the Caribbean Alliance ad and hope that the officers show up. 8:34.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Be careful on the road. Don't make it an episode. Attention all drivers. I'm begging you to slow it down, slow it Especially stunt drivers on the road, man. With the fire day, driver, what's your emergency? It's better late than never. So why all the hurry? Speeding is the main cause of plenty mishaps. The road is now a racetrack, threatening life and property, and all the result of that led to death and injury. Inconsiderate driving, this nonsense need to stop. Stop. I'm making it my business to alert all motorists, especially those who love to break traffic laws. I have seen what speed can do. Here I am to your rescue to help you to live. Just take this advice I give. I warn all drivers to take care of your passengers. Be careful on the road. Don't make it an episode. How much more tragedy we have to endure to face the reality. Less is safer than more. I'm begging all my friends. Be careful on the road.
Hey, that's the reigning.
Story done.
It's the reigning Culturama King. You know, that's Hollywood. He picked up the crown again at Culturama.
Yes.
And we have the officer on the way. She had a little mishap with her vehicle, so she is on the way. So
Yeah, she's usually already here, so we knew
Yeah.
that something had to have
yes,
happened.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I just heard the door, so
Yeah, so she should.
she should be showing up at any minute now.
I know persons are really waiting for traffic talk.
And it's important that, especially with kids coming back to school, I think there might be a few schools open today. I think it's important.
Yeah, there's
now.
some few schools because now I'm seeing the pictures rolling in of the school students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important, motorists, that you need to recalibrate your driving, maybe your careless summer driving habits, because kids are gonna be out and about for the next few months.
Yeah.
And we have the officer. If you can get Sophie to use mic 1, and we can get the show on the road. It's 8:38, and we now begin the Caribbean Alliance Insurance sponsored traffic talk. Sophie, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
You had a great weekend?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Want to get a little closer to the mic? Okay. They don't bite, you know. I'm pretty sure. And even if they bite, they don't have teeth. But
Well,
I'm
they
pretty
might
sure they
bite
don't
harder.
bite. Okay. So I know it's 2 days. I was just kind of telling the drivers, motorists, and so that they need to recalibrate their summer driving, their careless, let's say relatively careless summer driving, thing they were doing during the summer. They didn't have to worry about kids being, school kids being out and about. So school starts on Wednesday, and
No, today.
Today school starts.
oh well, Mike. Okay, so
It's really strange. Because some schools are starting today,
okay,
and
because
then some schools are starting on Wednesday.
yeah, because I asked my wife if it's today, and she said no. Ours start on Wednesday, but the
And the
impression
other schools
I
who
got
start
was
on
I know they
Wednesday.
usually start around that time, but
Okay.
this year they start Monday.
Yeah, but it seemed like a mixture.
because they start Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the impression I got was that everybody's
Everybody?
okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yes, so because I'm seeing some pictures of the high school students and some primary school students who have started today. So
Oh,
Even
okay.
the daycares
yeah,
open,
the
but
daycare is open today as well.
Yeah. Well, the daycare I would expect would open. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to say, welcome back to school. Yeah, but there's some schools that begin on Wednesday. So there has been that either you're starting on Monday or either you're starting
I
on
know
Wednesday.
last year most of them started on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, traffic talk.
Yes.
What are we expecting today to
We are
discuss?
talking about defensive driving or safety driving.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
I'm sure many of us in here can relate to that. So tell us.
Defensive driving, or as I said, safety driving, describe the practice of drivers who consciously reduce the dangers associated with driving. Defensive driving technique reduce the likelihood of a collision or incident and can even save costs related to vehicle maintenance and fuel consumption by driving smoothly and steadily. Awareness is key to defensive driving, ensuring you are aware of potential hazard and other road users, as I was just talking about the school children. Pedestrian are also road users, so it's not person who are driving. Users' action around you, enabling you to take proactive action to avoid an incident, to enable you to anticipate hazard. And as we said, if you're driving behind someone, as we usually call it tailgate, you must make sure you have like 2 car lengths between you and the person, that if the person stops suddenly, you have time to act. Because if you're right up behind the person and the person stops suddenly, there's where collision usually happens. So when you're driving, make sure you're driving for you and other persons. Make sure you keep that length between persons who are driving. And as I will say, don't trust those around you to make good decisions. Give yourself and drivers around you, as I said, plenty of time and space. As I said, this means keeping 2 to 3 length of vehicle between you and the person.
That's very important because I was driving a bit this weekend, and sometimes people stop abruptly. Sometimes they don't indicate before stopping. I am usually cautious when there is going to be a stop because you could see the vehicle ahead decreasing
Yes.
the rate in which they were
driving,
going.
yeah.
So that's my indication most of the time.
Yes.
You could see sometimes the brake light on, so you could see. Sometimes you see the brake light more than you see the indicator.
Yes.
so
So you have to look for that, and if you are
Yes.
paying attention on the road, you can avoid all of these things. And as you said, it is important to help drivers be aware of your intention by signaling. Some people just stop or pull over, no signal. And by you doing that, you could avoid collision. Because, the person in front of you is going to pull over or they're going to stop. So even if you're close up to them and they stop, you know, yes, they have intention to stop. But
Yeah.
still keep that length between you and the person.
Strange enough, when I was driving, there was a vehicle in front of me that made a turn without indicating, and I blew my horn. And then that's when, as they turned, they put on the indicator. I was like, okay, so they realized what I was trying to say.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, that's good that you did that because, I mean, I'll give an example. When I'm coming out from where I live up there by the benches, right?
Yes.
And you have that, well, we'll leave that monstrosity for another time. But anyway, so I'm there and I'm looking both ways and people are coming up and a lot of people are coming in
And no indicator.
and no indicator. So, I mean, like, how am I supposed to know when to come out if, you see what I'm
Yes.
saying? And you see that constantly, normally roundabout by camps. And the thing is, I do exactly what you're admonishing this morning. I drive defensively. I assume that the person is an idiot. And I drive accordingly. No, I'm just being plain.
Yeah.
So when for example, I'm coming from St. Peter's and cars are coming from west and I'm on the zippered line, I assume that they are going straight on if they don't put on an indicator, I just stay right there until I know exactly where they're going. And I even indicate, and I'll show you too what I also do. Let's say if I'm coming from Best Buy, I come around the same roundabout. I actually put on my indicator to let them know that I'm going straight as opposed to going down by the Mormon church.
Okay.
Because it might seem like a small thing, but
Yeah.
to me those little things
Yes.
make driving safer. When I get to Gillard's, I put on my indicator to let them know. Like I put on my left indicator to let them know I'm going straight, as opposed to going down by Moravian. To me, those little things make driving better.
And then remember when you buy a roundabout, you have to give it to traffic to your right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very true.
Yes. So we'll join now with the Inspector Phipps. We're going to continue with this defensive driving. She's going to give you some pointers.
Tell us.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Well, as it relates to defensive driving, we know that we all, as drivers, should be alert when driving on the road. And that is why we must always be alert and sensitive to the surrounding environment, including being aware of mistakes of other drivers. For this reason, we would avoid excessive driving distraction, like using your cell phone or fiddling with the cassettes or some other form of distraction that we know that drivers tends to do. Another essential point is that you as a driver not supposed to follow the driver who is in front of you, because that driver in front of you could be breaking the traffic laws, ignoring all the laws, and you behind following him. And so that could cause accidents and you could save life. So you have to be and always comply with the traffic signs. And also we must be aware, and that's mean being aware of your driving ability and how healthy and fit you are. If you are taking medication and you are feeling sick, it doesn't make sense that you go behind the steering wheel. You are putting other road users and drivers, including pedestrians, at risk. You never know what might happen when you are on the road. So please, if you are not feeling well or you are unfit, please do not go behind the steering wheel. Also, I would speak of attitude of drivers. As a driver, you should not be selfish or provocative. We have a lot of drivers who tends to just drive up alongside one another and tends to say things, and then the other person tends to follow, and then here we go, we get into an accident, and as we keep saying that when you do these things, you're putting other road users at risk. So we are asking all to drive with consideration. Also, we have anticipation. We are not saying that when you are driving on the road, you're supposed to be tense, but you're supposed to know how we are not saying you're supposed to be tense at all the time, but you are supposed to pay attention to what the driver in front of you is doing, or you are supposed to have your vehicle in such a position that you could see what is happening ahead of you. Sergeant Henry clearly said you must have at least 3 car length, the distance between you and the driver in front of you. And this is very important, as I said earlier, you will be aware of what the other driver in front of you is doing.
Very important points. I like what you said about not following the other driver, because sometimes there are persons in front of me and the traffic light says stop and those persons proceed, and I'm like, if it's a full road, even being off by a second and going through could cause a collision depending on where you're at. So that's very important. When you said that came to my mind. And not following the driver as well, because sometimes we don't know what is ahead of that driver, and someone might have just walked into the road unexpectedly and that driver has to do an abrupt stop, and following that driver, then we hit into that driver. Another thing, it could be you don't know what vehicle is coming towards that driver as well. So many things, you have to be so careful. And as Sergeant Sophie was indicating, not to tailgate and to give that room, that space between vehicles, so you could, in case of any untimely, any sudden stop, you are at least, at a safe distance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give 5 characteristics of a good defensive driver. And 1, always wear a seat belt. 2, keep within the advisory speed limit. Yes, we know our speed limits here are 20 and 40 miles. They say, yes, oh, those are too slow for us. 3, constantly scan the road for potential hazard. As I was saying, you don't know what ahead. And you're going to overtake someone, maybe some road work going on. There, you might cause an accident or somebody's life might lose. Signal his intention or signal your intention at all times. Show courtesy at all times. Show courtesy for other road users. Yes, and we're getting this a lot from the disabled person. Yes, because I am disabled and I want to cross the road, you honk in your horn for me to go cross faster than I can. Show courtesy for other road users. It's not only the drivers you have to show courtesy for. You have to show courtesy for the pedestrian, and we know school open today. Remember, show courtesy for the pedestrian, the school children, and school children obey the rules. Not because you see a crosswalk there and the traffic is going, the light is not up for you to walk, and you think because you can do it, you're going to do it. Show courtesy also in that way.
Yes.
And I would add to Sergeant Henry, do not give, as a defensive drive, do not give mixed signals. Up to last week, I was driving, and the vehicles were traveling opposite direction, and then there were a side road on their left. And so both vehicles lighted one another, and at the same time, the vehicle in the side road think that they were indicating for him to proceed. And so all you could have heard was a lot of tire impression because they give mixed signals. You as a defensive driver, you must use your indicators and give proper hand signal where necessary.
Yes. All of these are important because with the absence of these could cause a collision, and we've seen many collisions. In fact, I wanted to mention, I think during the weekend, this weekend, Friday and Saturday, traveling along the Friggy Bay area, I think there were 2 collisions, perhaps in almost the identical spot, or very close to each other. Yes.
Okay, wait, caller? Yeah, it seems that there's something, up with the phones.
One caller messaged me indicating that they could hear us, but we can't hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And I heard from Al, he said he tried all the phones. He said one, he was hearing us, but we clearly weren't hearing him, so.
So there's probably something on the phone lines. Yeah, so apologies to the callers. We know that, this is a segment that a lot of persons call into and want to hear their views or comments or give suggestions. So yeah, there was, I think, I saw 2 collisions over the weekend around the Friggy Bay area. I just want.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
In that, and almost the exact same spot, almost during the same time, but on different days. So, I thought to myself, is it that around that area could be more visible? What is the issue where you will have an accident around the same area, around the same time? Maybe it is that visibility on the road. Maybe it is that is where people take a lot of risks in terms of driving. I don't know. Some things to be considered.
Which area is that?
The long, you just passed ECCB.
Sugar Ridge.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I don't know if persons, the visibility over there.
Remember, that's like a corner, so
yes,
you cannot see.
Yes. So I saw 2 accidents on 2 separate days and consecutive days. I was like, around the same time. I was like, wow.
But we had this discussion a few months ago. Don't you guys take note of those patterns and try to come up with ways to reduce those types of accidents? Because like he said, it's basically the same spot. So clearly there's some physical peculiarity there that causes accidents.
It's a straight road and people tend to overtake there.
Okay.
That's the problem. Remember, you have a junction right there to come out.
Okay. So what would be the solution for something like that? Would maybe would mirrors help? Or people just
We
need
can
to be
look into
even
that.
more careful?
People need to slow down. Slow
And
down.
what I think that persons feel as though they have the right away, so they have no regards for the person who are exiting Sugar Ridge to go either Frigate Bay or back to Bastia direction. And that's why we keep saying that we must drive with consideration for other road users. As you on that same road while you're traveling to Frigate Bay, there's a little incline, and so as you come, that is when you're likely to see a vehicle coming down. So we as a driver, for me, I know that area, so when I'm approaching there, I drive with caution. But some people, as I said, they cannot see, and they still
I mean, I see people
maintain
trying.
a speed in that area.
I've seen people trying to overtake, coming up to a hill like that. I'm like, oh, I said, are
You
you
can't see around the
exactly?
corner.
I don't understand it.
Maybe they can see, but you don't know what they can
But
see.
maybe maybe they have radar in the car or something. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't know either. And during that time, on the weekend, people usually travel to the strip back and forth.
Yes.
And when persons lime, they often lime with a beverage of a particular kind. So maybe it is, I don't know. These are just guesses.
And some people want to get
Assumptions.
home,
Yes.
so they press on the gas.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But as we here talking about defensive driving, pay attention to your surrounding. One should not overtake at a hill or around a corner. You cannot see what is coming over the hill, and you cannot see what is coming around the corner. So you should never overtake around the corner. And over there have some corners.
And
Yes, it's a straight road, but you have corners.
I can hear the frustration in your voice too.
I'm not
And,
frustrated.
and it's, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
But I mean, it's
Yes,
it's
we are
justified
drivers,
though.
and when you're driving, when you're learning, this is something that your instructor will tell you. These are things that is on the exam. But yes, when we think we get our license, that's it. Everything gone out the door. We stop signal, we take corners, we drive for ourselves, and that's how we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A pity. Let's see if we could squeeze in. We have 2 minutes left. Let me see if I could squeeze in. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Traffic talk. Okay, seems as though I was just told that apparently there was a power outage on Saturday, which sometimes
Oh,
it makes the phones thing. So yeah, so I know what I'm gonna do.
okay.
Okay, so you guys, I'll give you guys the last word. You have the last 2 minutes to wrap up, and so you can go ahead and admonish the callers, the listeners. Sorry. Okay.
Do not depend on other drivers. Be considerate of others, but look out for yourself. Road safety should be every motorist's concern. Unfortunately, there are some who do not consider it a priority. Safety first, speed next. Slow down. It's not going anywhere. Drive to survive. Do not drink and drive. Don't be a fool. Respect the traffic rules.
As a defensive driver, you must always drive with genuine concern for your safety, the safety of others, and other road users.
Yes, I want to say thank you to both of you for coming this morning, for sharing these tips and giving us some advice as it relates to defensive driving. I'm sure many persons who have been listening would take these into consideration and hopefully use them as they drive today and for the rest of the week, So we're going to take
And
a
not
short
only for
break
the rest of the week.
for the rest of the time that
Yes,
they have
on
the
earth.
ability
Yes.
to drive.
Defensive driving, or as I call it, look out for the idiot driving.
Jamsa has
Sorry.
a way with the smooth words.
Yeah. Okay,
Take a
guys.
short break.
And Traffic Talk is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance Insurance. It's 9 o'clock. We have another segment, very interesting segment coming up.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Life is unpredictable. Don't miss the opportunity to provide your loved ones with the financial protection and peace of mind coverage they deserve with the Family Indemnity Plan from Kuna Caribbean Insurance. The Family Indemnity Plan covers final expenses such as funeral costs and outstanding debt in the event you or your loved one passes away for up to $30,000. No medical examination is required. Contact your credit union or one of their approved Family Indemnity Plan providers to enroll today. To learn more, call 466-9453 or 762-2973. Visit their website at kunacaribbean.com. Kuna Caribbean Insurance, for all people.
Attention, all shoppers and music lovers. Join us in celebrating Horswood's Nevis Center's 30th anniversary midday mass celebration. It's a celebration like no other. Happening this Saturday, September 2nd, 2023. Get ready to shop till you drop with a whopping 30% off store-wide. And that's not all. You could be the lucky winner of amazing prizes in our incredible giveaway. Shoppers, get ready for fantastic surprises. As the clock strikes midday, the party heats up with the electrifying core band featuring Deli Rang, Speedy, X-Man, DJ Bobby, and more. Feel the rhythm, feel the vibe. Dance, sway, and groove to the beats while you indulge in mouth-watering treats and refreshing drinks. The celebration is on fire, as you won't want to miss a second of it. Mark your calendar. This Saturday, September 2nd, 2023, the celebration kicks off at 8 a.m. and the unforgettable midday mass celebration starts at 12 noon sharp. Portsmouth's Nevis Center's 30th anniversary midday mass celebration. Be there and be part of the excitement.
Island Tea, it's 3 minutes after 9 o'clock as promised. Another very interesting segment coming up. We have former Deputy Prime Minister Sam Conda and Genevieve Mills. Let's go.
Yes, and they're representing the Department of Labor, correct?
Ministry of Employment and Labor.
Ministry of Employment and Labor.
And chairman of the Minimum Wage Committee.
Okay, awesome. We have quite a discussion there.
Okay.
Yes.
Sam, you may have to put on your headphones because
so you can hear us. And in those who may call in. Granted that we get, the phones up and operating.
Yeah.
So, again, I want to welcome both of you to Win FM and on Island Tea. Could you give those who are listening a brief introduction as to who you are and also what you're representing here this morning?
Good morning, and I want to thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. This is an important issue for the country in general, low-paid workers in particular, but the country in general. And we have been doing this. We started this exercise 6 months ago in March of this year. It was issue for the last so many years, decade or so. And the present government wanted to make good on its mandate to address the minimum wage, and so a committee was set up in March, and we have been meeting regularly from since that time to now. I think the government is anxious to implement this policy, because we think it's important for the workers, but it's also good for the country in general in terms of moving forward. And so we have this committee. I've been tasked with chairing the committee, and it is my pleasure and honor. Sam Conda is the name.
No stranger at all. Thank you, Mr. Conda. Genevieve?
Thank you very much, Azard.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for having me here on this panel discussion, or basically sensitization mission from the Ministry of Employment concerning the minimum wage. I'm Genevieve Mills. I work at the Ministry of Employment and Labor. I've been there for almost 20 years or thereabout. So I think I have a little bit of experience to sit with the Honorable, in this case, Sam Conda, on this particular issue as we try to ventilate and give persons outside in the general public some information about the minimum wage and the processes and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So for persons out there who are listening, we're going to take it really basic and then we're going to bring it up.
Right, that's right. Basic. We don't want to bring it up. Basic. Okay. We want to keep it basic.
So for persons out there who might be wondering, what is a minimum wage? What would you say in your own definition a minimum wage is?
A minimum wage is the amount that is legislated that an employee would receive per hour based on an honest day's work or honest work for an employer, according to law.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
and that's the way that you can go below.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's the minimum that you could go for a worker. That's because it's there.
So for those listening as well, what is our current minimum wage?
Our current minimum wage is $9 per hour.
$9 per hour.
$360 per week.
Mm-hmm.
And we work a 40-hour week.
Good.
Yes. Okay. So we're taking it basic.
Yes, of course.
Another thing too, I know the Labour Party during its campaign in 2022 indicated in its manifesto that they would propose a $500 per week as a minimum wage. To date, what has been the work as it relates to getting there?
In fact, a lot of work. In fact, is the $500 have us really for 6 months.
Okay.
Because all the groups, and let me just give you an idea of the groups that are represented on this minimum wage.
Okay.
We have the Ministry of Employment and Labor, of course. We also have a Ministry of Employment and Labor in St. Kitts and Nevis, right? And we have the Ministry of Sustainable Development, the Statistics Department in particular, Ministry of International Trade and Commerce and Consumer Affairs, and we have a number of representatives from that ministry, because we have Consumer Affairs and Trade and so on. So we have 3 4 persons on that committee from that.
Okay.
We have the Ministry of Finance. I mean, those are the people with the money.
Yeah.
They're going to go say whether they could pay what we're asking for in terms of the government, of course.
Yes.
So we have the Ministry of Finance. We have Ministry of Education, because we believe that is important in terms of the PR and the education, like we're doing now. So the Ministry of Education is part of that. We want people to understand what it's all about. We have from the employers representatives, we have the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We have the top level people there from that. We have, and this Chamber of Industry and Commerce in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we had representatives from both countries, from both islands. We have the Manufacturing Council. We have and other members from the private sector, and then we have the workers representative, the union representative on that. Then we have the central bank. Central bank is an important part of this discussion, because they look at our economic or regional. You know, we are we're in the part of the OECS, the monetary union.
Yes.
We have the central bank or common central bank with the OECS. So they are part of this discussion, and we have the Social Security. You know, Social Security as well is an important part of this discussion. That's the committee.
That is quite an expansive list, I mean, of persons involved in the process, which brings me to ask the question: How often does...
But let me just say,
Yeah.
let me just say that the committee, you asked, I said all that to ask about the amount. What we reach with the amount, he said the Labour Party promised $500.
Yes.
And you were wondering where we are. But I named the committee so you could see who the people involved.
Yes.
And each of these sections had to present they made a submission as to what they think the minimum wage should be. Well, I can't tell you what it will be because that's a government decision.
Yes.
All the stakeholders have recommended an increase in the committee, an increase in the minimum wage.
Yes.
Everyone, without a doubt. What it will be is the issue that has been taking us a little while, but everybody has seen. And just to tell you, just to add to that, for completeness, in 2018, we had a minimum wage committee called this minimum wage and committee started in 2004. Yeah,
right.
so about 2 decades now. So and we had the first increase in minimum wage. The first minimum wage was 2004. 625 per hour, 250 a week. Then we had one in 2008, which went to $750 per hour, $300 a week. Then we had 2014, 6 years later, went to $9 per hour, which is $360, which is where we're at now. We met, like I told you earlier, in 2018, and the committee didn't recommend the increase. So we're back here now, and all the stakeholders, they have recommended. I could tell you, at one end is the union. Had, of course, the union want to the most they could get for the workers. The largest recommendation for increase, and at the lower end, the employers want to pay as little as possible, so they have the least. So in between that, we have from the top of the union on one hand, and the other hand we have the employers. So in between that, we have this. So we will see. The Ministry of Labour and Employment and Labour will make the submission of what we think when we bring all those together, all the information, all the statistics we get. We'll have our own submission, which we will submit to the cabinet. Well, we'll submit it to the Minister of Labour, who will submit it to the cabinet, and then the cabinet will deliberate and decide what it is. We haven't arrived there yet, but we want to do that sooner rather than later, because like I said, 6 months has been going on, and yeah.
So it has been 6 months, and within that process, you have listed quite a number of persons involved in the process. And within that 6 months, how often you say that you guys actually met?
Well, that's a good question. I like that. But when I stand, we have to give the full record so that people understand. When we met and you could join in, Jenny.
Of course, yes.
When we started in March, we started, and the minister, a directive from the Prime Minister, the Minister of Labour, and the Director of Minister, that he would like this minimum wage to be done in about 2 months. Well, not 2 months, because we started the meetings about mid-March, just after mid-March, or the 24th of March. Let me get the exact time here.
Okay.
We had a meeting with the stakeholders on the 23rd of March, so that's about the end of March. And we were hoping, the ministry was hoping that they could get this completed by the end of April. So we had meetings scheduled. We met twice per week from the 23rd of March until the 27th, Thursday the 27th of April.
Okay.
The intention was to make an announcement for Labor Day.
Yeah, that would have been a good
exactly
a good one.
That was resisted by the private sector. The private sector thought, well, just a Labor Day announcement, we want about 6 months. And there was a long discussion about that. They said 6 months to, what do you want 6 months for? So, we don't want to be part of this thing, announcing something for Labor Day to make workers think, it has to be done properly. So 6 months is not enough time. I mean, 6 weeks. is not enough time.
Yes.
So they said they wanted 6 months. I personally objected to that. I tell them, look, 6 months is a long time and so on. And I said all that to say because it's 6 months now. The 6 months that they were asking for and the 6 months that I objected to is here now.
Okay. Yes. Good
So,
point.
but we have met regularly
Yes,
over the
yes.
thing over the last 6
And
months.
to add to this, we have convened as a committee, I think, on 3 other occasions outside the dates that the
That is
minister would have
important.
alluded to
That is important.
just now,
Yeah.
as much recently as last week. And the thing about the various meetings, and the minister could say, because he was a former minister of Labour,
Yes.
this time around, the committee decided they just didn't want to do things the normal way. And that's why we are here too. They wanted sensitization. They needed the public to understand what it is we are doing, how much times the committee met, the discussions at the committee, where it is the government is thinking, how we should approach this. Should the minimum wage be, let's say, if it should be $500 that was recommended, should the $500 be something that is just dropped on employers tomorrow, or should it be something that is gradually approached to? So it's appropriated over, let's say, a 6 months, 1 year period until the figure that we are trying to get at is reached. That's why we are here to have these conversations, to open up the discussion to the general public so they could be more aware of what was happening behind the scenes.
And, the conversation like this is really needed. I think more transparency in how the government
Absolutely.
functions,
Absolutely.
especially in things that would impact us all.
That's right.
And something that I've often said as well is that politicians during the campaign time, they make promises. So when you say $500 is going to be the minimum wage without any perhaps thought as into the process,
And the
time,
and the impact.
and the impact, yes.
Yes.
So, as you have said, even now 6 months after that, the employers would have said they wanted. You see that the time is even extended now.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and last let me add to what Jenny said in the meeting, because the Prime Minister himself, as the Minister of Finance, have held meetings. He have caucus. He has had caucus with the Ministry of Finance. After they get the recommendation, because we recommended a figure to the Ministry of Labour, the committee, the Ministry of Labour, and they recommended it to the cabinet. And when he get it, he convene a Ministry of Finance meeting to see whether this is a reasonable figure, if this is what we could do, and so on. So, and I think he has had. You could correct me, because I don't know if you were part of those.
Yes, he had a caucus outside of that. He had a caucus with. He formed a committee. The Prime Minister would have formed a committee, a livable wage, a livable a task force to determine the cost of living, to go towards the discussion of a minimum wage.
Yeah, because I could
to
tell
assist with the conversation, so the government could have a larger, you understand? Comprehensive outlook of it, and not just from the minimum wage committee. So a different task force was convened to add to this. And like I said, we are still here. So it's like, in this case, the government is saying, let's just not determine this should be the minimum wage. Let us make sure we cover all of the different dots, so to speak, and check everything to make sure that what we are doing is best.
I could tell you this because based on the ground and speaking with other persons, in fact, just on the weekend, doing a little walkthrough with the People's Action Movement.
Okay. Getting ready for the next election.
In constituency number 6, I could say that a lot of people are feeling the squeeze as it relates to the rising cost of living.
Absolutely.
And whether or not they could afford for their families. So that is a major concern. And so something like this is really necessary, is really needed. And as you have indicated, the urgency of it, and of course, it's a process that takes much deliberation, because you can't just implement and then take back.
Right, exactly.
So you have to ensure that when you implement something, it's something that you could sustain.
What will be the impact on inflation, increasing prices? What will be impact on employment, because the whole objective of the government is to get full employment as possible, and you don't want to a minimum wage that will,
negatively
And
impact
you also
employment.
have to look at the private sector as well.
Exactly,
Because
exactly.
you don't want employers.
Well, the private sector more than anything else.
Yes, because you don't want employers to then start to say, well, we can't afford this.
Exactly.
And they have to let go some people in order to meet the bill. So it's something that I think a lot of consideration has to be placed in.
Right.
Something occurred to me earlier when Simon, you mentioned like education and so. Is the committee going to be looking at? Are you looking at the minimum wage just in absolute terms or in relative terms? Here's what I mean. You know how you hear all around people, especially in the USA, they talk about how, for example, teachers really need to be paid more money. That they're not paid enough money and so on. And then you have the consideration of, well, okay, if teachers are going to have to be paid more money, are we going to say, well, for example, all teachers have to have a degree, like it is in the States. So I'm wondering if all those other considerations. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
I got you. Now you're kind of no, that is not
because then the minimum wage of a teacher would have
no.
The entry wage.
No.
Yeah.
This is just for the lower wage.
Oh, so this is just in absolute terms then.
Yeah. But and I'm happy that you asked that, because right now there's a debate taking place about the private preschool. Well, preschool in general. There's a big discussion going on, and I'm hoping that you all will be able to facilitate something with the private preschool, because we have an announcement both from the government, the Nevis Island administration, and the federal government about the assistance to preschool. I think that the government wants to make an investment. We see preschool as important, the foundation. That this is the first 3 years is when the brain is developing most, and when you make the biggest impact.
It sounds like you were listening to our discussion last week. Was it Friday or Thursday we were discussing that?
And right now the private preschool are under severe pressure. In fact, one preschooler, one private school tell me that she's going to close down. I mean, and we have, I think there's about 85 private preschools. Government preschools, I think, are only about 15 or so. And so, it's the private preschool who are carrying the burden. And so some discussion needs to be undergone, taken on terms of how we're going with this. Because this is important, how we're going to assist. Because, like I said, we had two announcements that we have in assistance from the Nevis administration, but I think it has to be more targeted.
Yes.
And in fact, we have to introduce something like a means test, because in terms of the affordability of parents, I think we have to get people to understand that, the assistance from the government should be for people who are in the low income level, who can't afford it.
And I would agree with that too.
And so
we have actually had the discussion, last week about that, and in fact some of the policies where we see government implement some policies and it seemed like a reactive approach
exactly.
than a proactive approach.
Exactly.
And
if I may add, Sam would have brought up this in the context of the minimum wage too, because the situation is that what was being discussed is that persons at the minimum wage is who should be flooding the government, the 13 or 15 government establishments with their children. However, you find persons who are on the higher end, the higher end of the salary scale, sending their children to these government preschools.
That is highly subsidized.
And then they can't afford now, the low-end employees can't afford to pay
for the private
preschools at the rate that they're charging. And so that's why we are doing what we are doing. We think we understand to some extent, based on what was being discussed over the past couple months, some of the challenges, what is happening out there in the workforce.
So you're saying that a lot of persons who make higher salaries are actually going to government.
Yeah, benefiting.
And
Yeah.
on the reverse,
The low wage
you
workers.
go to the private school.
Yeah, the law workers, they are forced now to send the children.
Low income.
to
In fact,
income.
Azard, I could tell you that there's a waiting list for like Victoria Road because I remember when our son was going there. At first, they told us it might be like a year to a year and a half type thing because we went early.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you see the problem there.
Which brings the point that even the public school and the vouchers that were given out, perhaps, if it's only accessible to public schools, which it was at one point, and then they made some accommodation for
For the
private
price,
schools.
yeah.
It could be the same thing too. We have
Yeah,
persons on the
exactly.
higher end.
A benefiting from the subsidy. Yeah, and we are saying that it should be mean tested.
So subsidies. So and all these are stuff that would have came out of the minimum wage discussion. That subsidies that are offered by government, as Sam rightfully says, should be means tested and be targeted. So persons who need the subsidies should be getting them versus those who don't really need them and getting them.
Yeah.
Impact is necessary. You understand? So you understand the target area and you set your target and you concentrate on that area. Versus
Here's another question for you guys. Now, clearly, I see there's some level of simpatico between you guys and the private sector. So, I'm just wondering, how do you intend to approach the let's say, the finessing of the notion that, well, if the minimum wage goes up, then that means we have to carry up the price of everything. How does
that is the thing, when the minimum wage go, it doesn't mean that prices should go up,
Well, no, I'm saying no, but usually
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
happens.
happened.
Remember Sam alluded to earlier when he was listing out the persons who were in the room. You had consumer affairs who were in the room. And so all these things were discussed. We understand that there are certain products that are currently in a basket. And so the conversation was, should the basket be increased to consider other stuff based on what is happening in society and how we are living as a people.
Okay, guys, we had a problem. I have a feeling the phones are working. So
Okay, let's
you guys
see.
want to take a few calls?
Let's take some calls. We want to hear what people have to say.
Caller, go right ahead. Hello? Okay, maybe not. Let's try the other one. Try the other line.
Hey, good day, caller.
Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very well happy that you guys are having this discussion here. Mr. Kanda, Honorable Kanda,
Sam,
talking about the minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Johnston, man, I want to thank you for asking the hard questions. Yeah, like we know, right? Why I'm trying to figure out how come we having discussion like this, right? When there's an inflationary period happening right now. Because which one we want to say come first, the chicken or the egg? Because right now, coming out of COVID, we already saw that it's already inflation, right? And so then therefore, we trying to raise the minimum wage now, right? When the minimum wage is raised, when we get to that point and we raise the minimum wage, are we going to stop the businesses from increasing the prices for goods and services? Because if that goods and prices don't stay at a constant, and they raise those prices and stuff like that, then the poor man won't see the effect. They won't feel the effect of raising the minimum wage at all. And there's been some discussions that increases has been made in Jamaica for the politicians there, and we know that there was a talk around town in St. Kitts and Nevis that there was going to be an increase of 85% for the parliamentarians. Is there any correlation between the common man and the parliamentarians trying to get an increase? And why is it taking so long to increase the minimum wage for the average person? And now listen off the air.
Okay.
Thank you for those
Guys,
questions.
take note of that question. We have to take the other call. And
Yes.
Caller, go right ahead. Please be brief. Go ahead. Hello? Okay, seems as though that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He spoke as to the reason why it's so long.
Yeah.
He spoke to, is there a correlation between this committee and the committee that with the parliamentarians?
No. There's the parliamentarian thing is about our per grade. We not
I don't have here no correlation.
And then the next question he asks is, why you taking so long?
It's taking so long.
I guess you
we
explained all of
that
that.
earlier.
Yes.
In fact, let me just say for the caller, for the completeness, like I said, the government wanted to announce it Labor Day as part. Then we say, the government says, no, let's try and get it for Emancipation Day, 1st of August, and we went back and get some meetings. We had a meeting on the 31st of July. I remember that meeting, you know, because they said, look, we are not here to facilitate, government kind of,
Yes.
expectations. So we're here to do real work. So the 1st of August or Labor August Monday didn't come off, Emancipation Day. So there was an announcement. No, we're talking about independence. And so it's taking so long because not that because the government is not anxious to introduce it and to get it done, but the government don't want to force it. They don't want to do anything that is not in keeping. They want to make the process transparent and accountable, and everybody agree. We want to that once it's announced, the whole country. The government and the private sector are on the same page at one, and that's why this program and other program we're going to be on radio for the whole week, trying to get people to understand what you're doing before announcement is made. So that's why it is taking so long. It is to make sure that we what I said, dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And like I said, we have been getting input from all the technical people, Social Security, the Statistical Department in Sustainable Development, the Central Bank,
Consumer Affairs,
and so
Ministry of Finance.
Once we do this, it's a scientific. It is not arbitrary. Like they say, politics kind of decision. It is a decision based on the.
I've sat on committees before as an observer. I sat this time as a direct member. There's never been a committee as this convened. The minister could attest to this. Never. I don't think a committee ever asked for something like this. The committee needed this. The committee said we need to do this.
When you listed the number of persons involved or the number of
entities
involved, yes. I said to myself the question, how often you actually meet, because I know that's a lot of persons, and to get persons involved and meeting sometimes is a problem.
In fact, you hit the nail, and I want to congratulate and commend these people. I don't know if you want the names called, but I told you the organization, the Central Bank, the Social Security, the Chamber, St. and Nevis, the Ministry of Statistics, the Consumer Affairs, International Trade. Look, and those people were there every meeting,
If some call a meeting now for tomorrow, they come in.
That's awesome. That's really
is the truth.
And people came across from Nevis. Yes. In fact, this week we had
last week you had 2 meetings.
Last week we had 2 meetings, and people came across twice. We had a meeting. In fact, let me just add this. I think this is important, in that we brought in at the recommendation of the Prime Minister, at the request of the Prime Minister, because we're talking about, wages have to do with productivity. And so we said we wanted to look at this productivity. I contacted somebody in Barbados, a gentleman by the name of John Pilgrim, who said that he could come, and do a 2-day workshop on productivity for us and so on. One with the Ministry of Labor, Employment and Labor, and one with the private sector. And so, we agreed on that. And I went to the minister to ask her, whether she could finance this thing. And she said, no, Sam, this is the, middle of the year. My budget, I don't want a budget for this, I can't think. I said, but the Prime Minister wants to. He said, well, I don't know. So I called John and said, well, look, we're not going to be able to do this. He said, Sam, I'll do it for you at cost. He said, just pay my airfare and my accommodation. He said, and if you're having a problem, why you don't ask to share it with the private sector? So I said, oh, that's a good idea. So I went to the minister. He said, look, we'll consider that. If you ask the private sector to share it with us, I'll do it. I went to the private sector, and they said, no, we can't do it. So I went back to the Prime Minister, told him. He said, look, Sam, don't bother with those arrangements. I will finance it. I'll do it from my office, the Ministry of Finance. And so we got Pilgrim in here. He did 2 days, excellent on both days. And so that was again part of the whole idea of getting us here.
Okay.
So it has been complete and comprehensive.
And could I tie in that? Could I tie in?
Go ahead.
I think the committee, the minimum wage committee, along with the Ministry of Employment and Labour, have a better understanding of the importance of productivity and money. And how the two of them go hand in hand. They have this symbiotic relationship. If you produce more, you're going to get paid more. If you get paid more, that's the company, then the people who work, they could get a little bit more. Maybe you might put some systems in place to determine how much or the more they're going to get and how they can get it more. But there's this correlation, and Mr. Pilgrim, like Sam rightfully said, he did a wonderful job of helping us to understand the importance of
when
such.
you said Mr. Pilgrim, could you give his first name as well?
John
Pilgrim.
And in fact,
John and then Pilgrim.
he came 2 days, and like I was saying, I'm making the point that people came across from these for 2 days for the conference, and for the
meeting.
The meeting, and so I was just trying to emphasize the commitment of people to this process. And like I said, all the people, the central bank, Social Security. In fact, last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, we had Donovan Herbert from Social Security on freedom issues, groundings, first Friday afternoon, groundings. And this week we're going to have more of those folks. In fact, on a panel, we had asked a number of folks, like the central bank, the lady in particular, Patricia Welch, because she was a member of the committee. Yes. And she had to travel. She called me yesterday or Saturday. She said, look, Sam, I'm sorry. I had approval from the governor already, but because I have to travel, she said, I'd asked the governor if I could let somebody from the central bank replace me. And he said, well, he don't think that is a good idea because they have not been part of the committee and they don't know what has been going on, and you don't want anybody new and who is not aware of the issues. So if they could put it off till you come back, that is the commitment we I said we can't put it off, but we will get somebody else. So that is the commitment that people had, that they thought, central bank thought that this is important in terms, and we would like to make the contribution. If you have to travel, we'll give you somebody else. She thought they could give us somebody else, but they said they don't think that will do justice to what we want. And so that is the level of commitment and understanding people have in this process.
Yeah, and not to think, we made a point was being made earlier about the access and subsidies, right?
Yeah.
And subsidies being given to maybe persons who, don't get a high salary.
Right.
Recognizing St. Kitts and Nevis, however, that education is free.
Yeah.
So how do you use that argument or use that position against the fact that all, regardless of salary, are entitled to free education?
You see, and there's a bigger point to that, and that's an important point. It's subsidy, because it is known in the schools. Let me tell you something. The subsidies that the government give in total, in general, in terms of the poverty alleviation program and the skills and training and employment program.
Okay, before you go on to that, you would agree that all persons, regardless of salary, should
get free education.
Yes, or have the chance to get free education once provided by government.
That's law.
Okay.
So access to education
because I know a point was being made that the higher end tend to go to the public schools to the expense of those.
Access to something free doesn't mean that you have to. That's why you have choice.
Yeah,
so that's why some people would choose to go to the private schools, and perhaps it's because of that why the government a few weeks ago, you understand, would have went about dealing with their program in that way by targeting, you understand, the public schools, because like I say, public schools, the schools are there and they are free. You understand? And outside of that, you have a choice if you want to go to a private school. And
or public school, good, even regardless of you Income.
Yeah. And you see, just to add, and the point I was making, I'm going to come to it later, but you're saying the way the government is treating education, the investment in education, not only the private preschools and the preschools in general, public and private, but in terms of the reduction in the tuition costs at the not reduction, removal. Tuition at the CFBC.
Oh, you're talking about CFBC now.
CFBC. Well,
you're talking
education
about
in general.
Yes.
And the reduction in the interest rate
at the development
At the development bank. I mean, and then again the reintroduction of the one-to-one laptop program. I mean, there's serious investment government is making in terms of education.
But the one-to-one laptop has not been instituted as yet, though.
No.
Okay.
But you know what I mean?
I don't think persons have received.
They haven't received it yet. Okay. All right. But I heard the announcement that I mean they even call a figure. Some 6,000 laptops to say it. But although the combination of that, the reduction of the interest rate, the removal of the fees at CFBC.
And I must say, the reduction in the interest rate at Development Bank for many of us who have student loans have been a source of ease.
I'm telling you, amazing. I mean, it has been. And the decision that while you're studying, the interest rate would,
I never understood the reason behind that, because the fact that you have to go to Development Bank in the first place to receive a loan as a student means that you won't be working to repay that interest while you're overseas. I thought it was something unused to be hung around.
I paid my son's student loan, the interest before he started working to pay it. I paid it. I took on that because
on the parents.
I mean, because that would have been a burden. Just before you come, is your jam story?
Me? I just want.
Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, just remember where you're going. But I wanted to add, because you were asking about the government contribution towards this subsidies. So it isn't only in education. Well, in education, another thing. You're talking about the poverty alleviation program, the skills training program, the alternative lifestyle program, and electricity subsidy. You know how much that costs the government?
Tell us.
$250 million. $250 million. That is 25% of government budget.
And you're saying that is how much money that is annually?
Annually, that's the budget. Yeah. I mean, so, and that is why, we have to get people off of these programs. And the way you get people off the program is by giving them a wage, by increasing their education and the employment opportunities. Those are the two ways, education and employment.
In fact, I have spoken to Jamson, I've said it here quite a number of times, that I believe that in smaller governments where people are given the opportunity to, get income and they could use that income to better themselves. Of course, they are going to be the vulnerable in society, and government ought to look out for the vulnerable as much as they can.
Yes, right.
But we should not have a population of over 50% that is vulnerable. If something like that happens, that's something that's crazy.
Exactly.
Even, I don't even think 25, more than 25 should be, because that's really high.
Yeah.
So it really has to be, government really has to think about putting steps in place so the economy could boost. So
Exactly right.
Well, all these things were part. The farm part of the conversation of the minimum wage
committee. Sorry, I cut you off. You were saying, Jamster.
It was Jamster.
Sorry.
I just wanted to ask. I get the impression that y'all seem like you have a very comprehensive representation with these consultations. And you mentioned consumer affairs, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you guys think it's time, in the interest of maybe keeping costs down, because, like we were saying earlier, people here. I mean, look, right? You think it's time, perhaps, that maybe consumer affairs be given more teeth?
Absolutely, Jamster. Absolutely, we want to increase the compliance and Absolutely.
And-
all that form part. I'll be honest. All those things came out in the discussion.
Okay, because
and so there are particular legislations that the consumer affairs, the ministry directly that deals with that, they would have placed at the table of the Attorney General.
Because
so they are hoping, and we are hoping as well in the Ministry of Employment and Labour, because we understand the complexity of a minimum wage, and we understand some of the safeguard systems that would have to be put in place in terms of, like you said, from a consumer standpoint. They would have to have a little bit more teeth so they could go out and do a little bit more monitoring of what is happening.
I actually thought
in some instances, and it came out in these meetings too, in some instances, there are factors that drives up the cost of products that they don't have any determination over. You understand? They don't have any controls over that in terms of the cost of importation and that kind of stuff. You know, certain things they can't control. And one of the things that they would have said there too, and we are encouraging from this standpoint, from the Ministry of Employment and Labour and from the committee standpoint, is for persons to be guarded in terms of what they are purchasing. We understand that there is a love for milk, for instance. And we understand too in St. Kitts and Nevis we crave brand. And so we understand the carnation is up here, and we know too that there's something a little bit different that is not carnation, and it's under, and because of brand we prefer the carnation, not recognizing that the other one that costs less is the same milk, probably making in the same factory, and I could attest to this, probably making in the same factory. However, it's just a different label.
And the way you perceive it.
And so these conversations and more will be coming. So consumer affairs at some point in time, as Sam alluded to, would join perhaps either this conversation or start their own education process. So those who are directly impacted by a minimum wage could understand that we just don't want to increase a minimum wage and you go out and you continue bad spending habits and you lose the little increase that you gain by spending it off willy-nilly. We want you to invest this money or put it into, or save it or put it places, you understand, where you could gain from versus, you understand, not having something to look for. This increase or the minimum wage increase that is coming is to give you relief and to give you something to hold on to for the future.
Because in my mind, I always thought that when the supply office was closed, right? I figured in lieu of the supply office, consumer affairs needed to have more latitude in terms of the kinds of restrictions and price, and give more latitude for price control and stuff like that. You know.
Yep.
Because that's basically what the supply office did.
Exactly. Kept the costs down.
My question, because you guys have started the process already. Timeline after timeline seem to have been expanded. Realistically, and perhaps what are your vision based on the factors that are everything into consideration now? When can you hope to get it?
Yeah, I think what's the prevailing view is that it has to be done almost immediately. But I think we want to do a phase, I don't know if the correct term, phase approach, rather than going to over a period of time. Maybe by next year, but starting now. But we might be able to get all that we want now. But people just show that over as 18 months period, a year and a half, or whatever, 2 years, wherever it is, that the minimum wage should reach where we want it to reach.
In other words, you're saying
a phase approach.
Let's say that I'm going to use the 500.
The 500.
It doesn't mean that
it's 500. Yeah. That's a good figure. That is what people are talking about.
Yes. It means that perhaps for the first 6 months, you might get an increase of, let's say 10%.
You got it.
And then over the
6 months, you get something like that. That's what being discussed.
Okay.
But because in fact, let me read a nice quotation. It's my favorite quotation I got from Jenny, from the ILO director, which really says it all. he says, income inequality and poverty will rise.
Yes.
Income inequality and poverty will rise if the purchasing power of the lowest paid workers are not maintained. In addition, a much needed post-pandemic recovery could be put at risk. This could fuel social unrest across the world and undermine the goal of achieving prosperity and peace for all.
Yeah.
This is the importance of a minimum wage to our future, our prosperity, our peace, our everything. People must get a wage that makes sense, that they could be, integrated into the economic and social system for each one of us. Each one of us depend on it. It is our interest. You're sitting down here and you're tired and so going good thing and so on. I mean, the minimum wage of the guy out there must be able to make sense if you are going to continue your own lifestyle and your own standard of living. Correct. Otherwise, we're going to have social unrest and so on. I keep saying that I believe the COVID was, for me, a reawakening of the human spirit as God intended it to be. It was intended to create an honest society, a society in which the moral and spiritual values would tame the natural greed and selfish tendencies of the human being and to ensure happiness and well-being for us all. That's what the economic situation is supposed to produce, A society of, conditions that empower and advance each individual, that is for our own personal survival and safety and security. If you don't have that, you're creating problems. I don't know why people can't see that it is their interest to treat people well and pay them well.
Yeah, I could see, because as you said, life is a skill. In order for it to create that balance, you need to ensure that everybody is able to give them that chance. Because if you tip the scale where a person's on, balance the scale is off. Yes. And someone has just made a comment, and I think we've touched it before too, that with the increase in the minimum wage, there also needs to be careful price control, so it doesn't feel as though as the minimum wage goes up, everything else goes up.
Exactly.
And it doesn't feel like one step forward, two steps back.
Exactly.
I could ask you a question, Azard?
Yes, you may.
What do you think the minimum wage should be?
I am thinking as close as the 500. As close as the 500. Minimum, based on my own mind as it is now, and based on what I know now, minimum maybe at least the 450, between 450 500.
But let me ask a question. Based on that, is it better to approach it from an hourly standpoint, or
it has to be pegged. It has to be pegged to something.
Okay.
You understand? And so since you have rates, hourly rates, daily rates.
Yes.
You understand?
Because
it has to be pegged to an hour.
I always found that kitchens
thinking
don't
more
seem
about it, maybe 500 too, because that's $2,500 a month. I think people, and the cost of living is really high. So if you're getting you should be able to make more than $2,500 a month.
Well, it wouldn't be. If it's 500, it wouldn't be 2,500 a month.
How much would it be a month?
It'd be about 21 something.
Oh wait, let me see. Maybe
you
probably, yes. You're correct, because it'll be 2,000 something, won't it? Oh wow, that's even. Oh wow.
The reason I asked about the hour rate, because
you're right, because I was multiplying by five rather than the 4.
It's gonna be 2166.
Oh, so definitely the 5 is like the minimum. I think at this time, really the 5 is at the minimum. Not even the 450 that I said. The 5, because to make less than 2,000,
No, it's just I noticed the outside world, they tend to think of it in terms of an hourly rate, as opposed to us, where usually when you ask locals, they'll $2,000 a month or
$500
$500 a week. That's why I asked. I just wondered
but we based on the hourly thing, it is like I quoted earlier. In 2004 it was $6.25 per hour, which was $250 per week. In 2008 it was $750 per hour, which was $300 per week. In 2014 it went to $9 an hour, which is $360, and that's what we're having now.
Okay.
But so it's always based on the.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's always based on the hour, but most persons would quote
the
weekly
figure.
figure.
That's why I brought that up.
Yeah, what's the regional rate too? Because then we have to consider what the other region.
Exactly.
Not saying that
we can't do it like that. As honestly, it can be a one size fits all. The reason for this is, and look at it realistically. Look at how we live in St. Kitts versus how the people in, let's say, Dominica, Grenada, or Antigua, you understand?
Yeah.
How they live and how we live is totally different.
It is.
Our standard of living is here, and I'm not.
And the cost of living as well is less in Dominica.
Of course. So
it is what it is.
Yeah. It can vary. It can vary.
So
the cost of living varies across the region.
Yeah.
Therefore, the minimum wage will vary. At one point in time, I had that.
And that is why we were able to benefit from the central bank. The central bank has a good idea of what's happening.
Could I ask, what is the figure that perhaps, because again, I'm no economist, so when I give my figure and estimate is based on what I know, not being an economist and looking at how things are, and so even if I were to say $500, it comes from not a place of being with all the knowledge that you guys have, based on the meetings that you've had and the persons involved, but. Let me ask you, based on the ECCB and the economists, what are they recommending?
Okay. Well, I don't know if I could do that. But let me tell you, it went from $6 by the union, and like I say, you want to...
From $600.
$600, sorry. Which is what?
$600 per week. It would have been $15.
$15, yeah. $15 per hour for the union. The union thought that was reasonable and that was $600. So you expect that from the union, and it went to the other end.
You had a few. About four entities was about 4 something.
420 and
which was
4.
About 12.
Yeah.
Which was
420, 425,
about
$435.
About $10 an hour.
Yeah, $10 an hour. Yeah. And you had some people just over $10.
And you had people over $10.
Okay, let me ask you. Were the persons
and
you don't have the cost?
No. And that is why I said we are in the ministry. I could tell you in the ministry, the Ministry of Employment and Labor, we recommend $500.
Okay.
And we say, but that is not for us. I mean, the cabinet will decide what it is. But like I said, we had from
other than the ministry, are there persons who are agreeing with the $500? Other than the ministry?
Other than the ministry, like I said, apart from the union. Which is higher. 600.
Yes.
The others a little less than little less than 500.
So
400.
Some real negotiation has to be
exactly. Yeah, 400.
What's it? Let me ask, because it gives us a scale of fame to think about. What was the minimum suggested? Because we have already
the minimum suggested was $4. Yeah.
Which is how much?
No. I think it was more than $10. $10 and something. I think the minimum was $420. That was the minimum.
$420.
Yeah.
$420. So then, if we know. The reason why I ask that, if we have the highest, which is the 600, and we have the minimum that they're talking about, which is 420, we could expect something
somewhere in between.
Yeah, and
so
I think that's
$10.50.
$10.50. Okay then. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Great discussion, and clearly we could continue this for another hour. It seems. We have about 1 minute left, so give you guys the last.
I know. And then there's the flip side, because as things increase, we have to look at the small businesses too.
Exactly.
Because small businesses would have to be able to pay those workers.
Exactly.
So
that
even
is the point.
more now, I'm thinking now with the $500 again. On the spot, the moment I could think $500, but then when you really consider all that is to be considered, whether small businesses would be able to maintain this amount to its employees, because it's a commitment they will have to meet.
Right.
I could see why this is taking so long.
Exactly.
And because at the end of the day, you need something that is a consensus and something that considers not only large businesses, because large businesses might be able to pay the 500, but smaller businesses might not be able to do that.
We have to be able to sustain the entire economy, private and public.
So again, even with my thought, with what would be the amount at this point in time, I can't even say.
Yeah, and in fact, you see, Dave, that point you're making, we have a lady from Nevis, from the private sector, I'm not going to call her name, maybe, but she keeps making that point. She said, look, because she is a small business thing, she has a small business, she said, I understand what you're saying, but, it's whether I going to be able to be in business, whether I could afford to be in business on a minimum wage that, and she's speaking on behalf of a number of small businesses. And so that is part of the thing. But there's certain concessions and so on. I mean, the government is making certain concessions, the reduction of VAT and the reduction of corporate income tax.
Those would have to be considered.
Those are being considered. And maybe this is a good way to wind up my own thing. Because part of the thing, that's why we come to productivity. Because the government want to look at, for example, concessions to the private sector to review the fiscal policy, general fiscal policy. I mean, even things like income tax is something that is being talked about. The reduction of VAT, review of the CIF and port charges and custom duties.
But if you implement income tax and increase the minimum wage, wouldn't it therefore you have to look at the spill-off in all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a whole comprehensive report, because that is what the IMF is talking. The IMF is talking about one of the ways of like I quoted the ILO director thing. One of the ways of addressing the inequality in income is by taxation.
Yeah.
That is the most that's the only way you could deal with that, right? And so I was saying that is a whole comprehensive. You have to look at it. We want to look at establishing national productivity council, and that is why we brought in Mr. Pilgrim.
So could Sam, Mr. Kondo?
Sam is good, man.
Could I know this is a very good discussion. Can we get a part to this week?
Not this. I don't know if you could do it this week.
Okay,
you do every
morning from Monday to Friday. Yes.
Okay. Let me see what is possible.
Okay then.
But
Sam will determine once he says.
Yeah. So we're saying.
Okay. Yes.
And one last thing I want to say is that apart from the establishing the Productivity Council, to convert AVIC into a trade school that will prepare the workforce with the skills for a modern economy. That's all part of it. And lastly, to promote the philosophy of the cooperative movement in the informal sector and small businesses that will assist in terms of our economic development.
And I think another important consideration is that we need to know what actually the economists are saying, or the economist is saying in relation to the minimum wage, and based on their expertise and of course objective, what would be the recommendation? Because we all could assume and make recommendations from a point of emotion and perhaps inexperience.
On the committee, those people, we have the central bank, an economist.
And that is why and I know you can't say because you're still in committee stage, and so
the central bank, we have the statistical officer in the sustainable development. We have the actuary fellow who actually studied in terms of social security. So we have all these.
Because when you asked me the question, I am now thinking at one end I was thinking as someone who would like to see people get more, and then on the other hand as a potential employer, in order to manage that. So
we have to
wrap up. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. It's been an interesting discussion. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man.
Yes.
Thanks for facilitating.
No problem.
Okay.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the meetings that must be real quite interesting.
that's gonna do it for Island Tea this morning.
Telling you.
Yeah, so we just had a great discussion there with Sam Conda and Genevieve Mills as we discussed the ongoing consultations on the minimum wage rate. That's going to do it for Island Tea today. We're going to be back tomorrow. There's no voices today. No voices today. Socrates is indisposed, and we were also having some problems with the phones, so maybe that's just as well. So we'll be back tomorrow with Island Tea at 8 o'clock. This is Jamster on behalf of Azard Gumbs signing off.
Pour it up, need the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, bust the brother colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that we will like, but stand full of vibes, living for the